Ever feel lost about your career? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you there's actually a science to finding the right path? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly that. A modern, systematic way to answer one of the biggest questions you'll ever face.
This question, it follows us around, doesn't it? From when we're kids all the way into adulthood. It sounds so simple, but the answer, man, it shapes pretty much everything. And getting it right, well, that's the real challenge. And these days, it's not just about finding a job that's kind of fun. Think about it. With how much education costs, choosing a career is a huge investment. We're talking serious time and money. The pressure to pick the right major, the right path, right from the get-go, it's never been higher.
So how in the world do you even start to tackle a question that big? Well, we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the dilemma itself. Then we'll dive into the two big ones, what you genuinely love and, well, who you actually are. After that, we'll add a few extra layers to get a clearer picture. And finally, we'll put it all together to see how all this stuff points to real-world careers. The old way of picking a career was a bit of a mess, right? It was a mix of guesswork, what your parents wanted, and maybe whatever job seemed cool that year. But today, we can do way better. We have a much more scientific way of looking at it.
And that modern solution is something called a psychometric assessment. Now, let's be super clear here. This is not one of those random, which sandwich are you, online quizzes. Nope. This is a real scientific tool built on proven, globally accepted theories. Its whole job is to measure those abstract things about you, and it can pinpoint your personality and interests with, get this, over 90% accuracy.
And the cool thing is, it doesn't just look at one part of you. This whole approach is multidimensional. It's like looking at yourself through 5 different lenses to get a complete 360-degree view. It's asking the big questions. Who are you, really? What do you actually love to do? What gets you fired up in the morning? How do you learn best? And of course, what skills do you already have?
Okay, let's jump into the first big piece of the puzzle, your interests. And I'm not just talking about hobbies here. This goes deeper. We're talking about figuring out the fundamental kind of work you're drawn to.
To help us do that, we use a really solid theory called the RISAC model. It was developed by a guy named John Holland, and it's actually a pretty brilliant system. It basically takes the entire world of work and all the people in it and organizes everything into 6 main interest types.
So what are these 6 types? Well, it breaks down like this. Are you a hands-on doer? That's realistic. A deep thinker, investigative. A creator, that's artistic. A helper, social. A persuader, enterprising. Or an organizer, that's conventional. And see how it's a hexagon? That's because the types right next to each other have a lot in common. But the ones on opposite sides? Yeah, they're pretty much polar opposites.
But here's the most important part. Nobody is just one of these things. This isn't about putting you in a box. Instead, the assessment finds your top 3. And this creates a unique 3-letter code, like IAR or ECS, that perfectly captures your personal blend of interests.
All right, so that covers what you love to do. But what about who you are? This brings us to the other massive piece of this puzzle, your personality. And to unpack this, we're going to use a framework you've probably heard of, based on the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI for short.
First up, where do you get your energy? Extroverts, they're kind of like solar panels. They get recharged by being around people and jumping into action. Introverts, on the other hand, are more like rechargeable batteries. They need that quiet, private time to power back up. And remember, this has nothing to do with being shy or outgoing. It's all about your energy source.
Okay, next, how do you take in information? Are you the kind of person who trusts what you can see, touch, and measure? The hard facts, the specific details. That's what we call sensing. Or are you more about connecting the dots, seeing the patterns, and imagining the possibilities? That's intuition.
All right, how about making decisions? Do you lean on logic and analysis? Is it all about what makes the most objective, logical sense? If so, you're a thinking type. But if you prioritize your personal values, empathy, and how a decision will affect other people, well, that's a feeling type.
And last but not least, what's your preferred lifestyle? Do you love a good plan? Do you thrive when things are structured, organized, and settled? That's a judging preference. Or do you prefer to keep your options open, go with the flow, and adapt as you go? That's the perceiving side. It's all about structure versus spontaneity.
So, there you have it, our 2 main pillars, your interests and your personality.
But to get really specific recommendations, we need to add a couple more layers. You can think of these as filters that help us narrow things down and get a much sharper picture.
One of the most important filters is what we call your career motivators. This is all about the why behind your work. What really gets you excited to get out of bed? Is it the chance to be creative, a sense of adventure, a super fast-paced environment, or maybe just being your own boss? I mean, think about it. Two people can have the exact same interests and personality, but if one is motivated by stability and the other by taking risks, they're going to be happy in totally different jobs. So yeah, knowing this stuff is absolutely critical.
Another key layer, your learning style. How do you learn best? Are you a visual person who needs to see it? Do you learn by hearing, by reading and writing? Or are you a hands-on person who just needs to do it? And this isn't just about acing a test in school. It's about finding a career where learning new things feels totally natural, almost effortless. That gives you a huge advantage.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got all our data points, your 3-letter interest code, your 4-letter personality type, what motivates you, and how you learn. Now comes the really cool part, the magic, if you will, turning all of that information into actual, real-world career paths.
And this quote right here, it perfectly sums up the whole philosophy. The goal is not to change your personality to fit a job. No way. The goal is to find a career that fits you exactly as you are. It's all about alignment, not forcing yourself to be someone you're not.
And this is where it all clicks. This is where those abstract codes turn into real jobs. Your 3-letter interest code becomes a super powerful guide. So if you're an IAR, that's investigative, artistic, and realistic, that points you toward things like being an architect or a robotics engineer. If you're an RES, maybe you'd be an amazing sports coach or army officer. An ECS, perfect for a business manager. ESA, you could be a natural at social media or event management. See? All of a sudden, that code gives you a real, tangible direction.
At the end of the day, this whole process isn't about finding one single magical answer. It's about building your own personalized compass. When you combine who you are, what you love, and what truly drives you, you get this incredible self-awareness that helps you navigate not just your next move, but your entire career journey. So now you've seen how the science works, how you can take this massive, overwhelming decision and break it down into pieces that actually make sense. The only question left is the one that really matters. The one that brings it all back to you. What's your code?